Hi guys, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Andy, I'm the clinical lead at Readycare. In today's session, we're just going to talk about managing the Christmas period. So I won't keep you too long in this one. We'll do maybe 10, 15 minutes where we'll just talk about the basics of, I suppose, managing how you approach the Christmas period, your kind of vision of how you're going to get through the Christmas period, because there's just way too much talk of, and this is a real Irish one, of sure, it's Christmas, where people just write off the Christmas period like it's a foregone conclusion that you have to eat crap food that's slowly going to kill you over time. So let's just look at the reality of it and what the best way to manage the Christmas period is. Number one thing to remember is don't buy into the hype. The food industry use the Christmas period and they bring it back closer and closer to summer when they start releasing mince pies in late August, early September. They start having Christmas puddings and, selection boxes and tins of roses and heroes and all that sort of stuff around in mid-September at the latest. That is crazy. That food has an expiration date of about a year later, yet we're putting it in shops 3 months before Christmas. And that's done intentionally to get people starting to buy it and over-consume it for a 3 or 4 month period, because that is an addictive food substance, have no doubt about it. So tip number one for managing the Christmas period is don't buy into this kind of food hysteria where, make sure and stock up now to beat the Christmas rush. What a load of nonsense. So it's currently 5-6 days before Christmas. You can walk into any shop now and buy celebrations, roses, mince pies, selection boxes, any shop, numerous shops, you'll find that sort of stuff. It doesn't sell out, broadly speaking, until maybe a day or two before Christmas. And worse again, you'll see it lying around the place reduced for a couple of weeks after Christmas. Please don't buy into the hype that you have to stock your house up with this sort of stuff. And other ways you're going to run out of it. That is not a thing. And the food industry are more than happy for you to slowly kill yourself eating that food. No, I'm not saying don't have any of it, but I'm just saying be aware that that's a con job that we just accept and a lot of people just buy. Another key consideration is people say, sure, it's Christmas and, sure, you have to gun to the head sort of stuff. You have to eat that sort of stuff over Christmas, or everyone does it. I mean, it's okay to say everyone does it, but I have patients who have neurological disorders, epileptic seizures, type 2 diabetes that's out of control. And for them, it's a very different thing engaging in that sort of food compared to someone who's early 20s, maybe even into their early 30s, just no issue with metabolic stuff. They have no weight to lose. They don't have high blood pressure. They don't have cholesterol issues. They don't have conditions that are seriously aggravated by indulging in that food for a prolonged period of time. So the question is, are you very metabolically healthy? And can you get away with eating food like that over a couple of weeks and it have no long-lasting effect on you? Can you afford to gain 7 or 8 pounds? Are you that happy with the shape that you're in that you're in a position that you can go, sure, it's Christmas, I'm going to eat what everyone else eats? Or are you not? And ask yourself that question. Are you happy to be up 7, 8, 9 pounds over Christmas? Or would you prefer to not gain any weight or only gain a pound or two and say, I still enjoyed myself because I enjoyed 1 or 2 days. And now I feel all the better for it. And I promise you it's the way that you're going to feel. I went to a work Christmas party last night and said, I'm not going to drink, not going to bother eating desserts. And I came back after it. And did I wake up this morning and go, I wish I had 9 pints of Guinness and bread and butter pudding? No. I didn't. I'm delighted that I didn't. And you must think, you're great fun at Christmas parties. It's not about that. I do drink, by the way. It's just I chose not to last night because it was less hassle with the car and all that sort of stuff. But you will never go out the other side of Christmas, especially if you have one day where you say, I'm going to eat whatever I want, desserts and all, mince pies and all on Christmas Day. You will never come out the other side of Christmas and go, I wish I had more desserts. You just won't. That will never happen. So bear that in mind. So how do you manage the Christmas period without overdoing it, without, really just going too far and causing either weight gain or damage to your health? And a good strategy is just to pick 1 and maybe 2 days where you will eat when you feel like it. You'll eat whatever you want. Now, what I will say to you is there's more damage done in sitting there with a box of roses, and this it always makes me laugh. Where I think it was my dad actually a long time ago. He was eating, I think it was roses or Quality Street, something anyway. And he turned with chocolate all over his mouth and he said, after about 50 of them, he said, I don't even like these ones. And it just sums up when you're still eating foods and chocolates that you really don't even particularly like. You're at the point that you're gone beyond enjoyment. It's just gluttony. You're just going, oh, just shoving them into your mouth, just for the tiny bit of pleasure that you get from it. So that stuff does way more damage. Picking up mince pies when you're going in and out of shops over the Christmas period and eating the roses at the desk, that stuff does way more damage than, you know, 1 or 2 desserts on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve, or having the potatoes and Yorkshire puddings with your dinner that you know cause weight gain. I mean, no one meal causes a significant amount of weight gain. It's the small bits that add up over time. So this all or nothing mentality that I hear from patients all the time when they go, Asher, it's Christmas, so Christmas is going to be a disaster. No, it's not. Christmas itself isn't going to be anything. You're the one who decides how to engage in the Christmas period. Christmas itself isn't a thing in terms of food. It isn't going to do anything to you. You're choosing to allow yourself to indulge too much in the Christmas period. And when you say that, you're psychologically hitting a self-destruct button. So when you say Christmas period is going to be tough and the Christmas period is going to be a disaster, sure, Christmas is always a disaster food-wise. That's silly. You're saying I'm going to choose for Christmas to be a disaster and I'm going to put on 8 or 9 pounds. And if you say that, nothing is sure. You're going to put on more than that. So pick 2 days to indulge what I would call strategically. This is what we do here. I'd say for me, Christmas Eve, we're going to go to, there's a place called Lab 82 in Cork, which just does incredible like cookies and cakes and all that sort of stuff. So we'll get one of the cakes that we love from Lab 82, Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day, we're going to have the desserts from whatever, Marks and Spencer's or whatever nice ones that you really like. And I'm not going to hold back on potatoes, Yorkshire puddings, that sort of stuff. And that's kind of it for me with Christmas. I don't feel the need to, and nor should you, to do the whole, you know, I went over to someone's house recently and there was a selection box on the table and like the guy was like in his 40s. I'm like, what part of you needs to buy kids chocolates wrapped up in selection boxes? And you're buying that because it's Christmas and you feel like you should because it's Christmas. It's just silly. It's silly. And it by the way, that's a dreamt up idea from the food industry that, you know, you should eat loads of chocolate and processed food over Christmas. It's just to quote unquote indulge, and by indulge you're referring to weight gain and small blood vessel damage and increased risk of heart disease. It's just crazy. And I get it. It tastes nice and don't take yourself too seriously and all that. Again, if you can afford to do that, great. If you know when you're listening to this and you go, well, I could actually do with losing weight, then why not just nominate 1 or 2 days where you have the desserts on one day and you have something else on the other day with a few drinks once or twice. And then all the rest of the time, you do your best to be on track. Why not do that? Because it will save you 8, 9, 10 pounds. Christmas for some people goes on from a week or 2 before Christmas when they're tipping away at mince pies and roses, the work Christmas party where they do loads of damage. And then I think the average date somebody considers themselves back on track is around mid-February. It's around the 10th to the 12th of February. I heard the date before and I knew it was close to 10th or 12th of February. So just bear that in mind. Don't let Christmas become an 8-week thing where all of a sudden it's like 1/6 of the year now you're eating crappy food. Okay, here's the key to it. If you're going to do step 2, this is step 2, pick 2 days to indulge strategically. You must commit, come hell or high water, to step 4, which is getting back on track after those 2 days are done. So because carbohydrates, and more specifically, you know, quickly absorbing carbohydrates, so your breads and cereals and granola bars and mince pies and sugary based food is as addictive in the short term for some people as cocaine, and it really is. That's not that's not hyperbole, that's a fact. They've shown that in studies. You must commit to a day when you get back on track, because I know even over Christmas Day, I will have, whatever it is that I'll have, and there'll be a little bit of a dessert left on Stephen's morning, and in my head I go, sure, I'll have profiteroles for breakfast. It's just, and I might have gone 6 months without crap food, and just straight away you're back into I need a little bit more, and the blood sugar will start to drop. That's a very dangerous place to be. So for us, when we've had the desserts, and you might think, what a waste of food. It's not a waste of food if the food is poison. I just chuck it all into the bin. So as soon as we're done with the Christmas night, everything gets thrown in the bin. Anything that we consider fairly crappy for you just gets chucked in the bin. We just cut the cord straight away, cold turkey type thing, and then you're back on track. Do not engage in compromise. If you engage in compromise, if you leave that stuff around the house and sure, I'll just have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and sure, the sister is calling over tonight, It could be 2 months by the time you fully get back on track. And that is, you're giving away months of your health if you engage in compromise. Just get back on track. It'll feel like the hardest thing in the world to do Christmas night when you're full of Cadbury's Roses or whatever it is that your choice of indulgent chocolate is, or food. It'll feel like the hardest thing in the world not to get up in the morning and have a handful of that sort of stuff again in the morning. But don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't engage in it, because if it doesn't stop Stephen's morning, it mightn't stop until the middle of February or March, and that's a problem. Okay, just on aside from the diet stuff, because if, as we know, 98% of the weight you gain or lose comes from what you eat, not the exercise that you do. That said, exercise is phenomenal for your mental health and your physical health. It's for your immune system, cardiovascular, cancer, disease, diabetes prevention. It's phenomenal for all of those things. So it's not great for weight loss, believe it or not, in counter to what a lot of people would have thought in the past. But sitting around it, watching TV, there's a point at which indulgence becomes kind of sloth-like. And don't get me wrong, I do it myself. So you'll watch, a movie or something like that, and then you're sitting on the couch because nobody's doing anything over Christmas, and then 6 or 7 hours have passed and you're just feeling stale and crappy, and you're watching a movie that you don't really like, but that's what people are doing. Somebody said to me before, sure, I'm hardly going to be out walking over Christmas. And I said, why? I said, because it's Christmas. I said, that makes no sense whatsoever. And this guy in particular actually wasn't in the slightest bit religious even, not that that's got anything to do with it, but it's just a sort of a truism. Sure, you're hardly going to be out exercising over. Why would you not be exercising when you have more time than you do at any other stage in the year to be out exercising? This idea that we all get fit in January is just ridiculous. Like, resolutions are BS for the most part. That's why 88% of them are gone 6 weeks into February. If the most meaningful reason you can think of for exercising 3 times a week, which is hard to do, it's hard to commit to that, or at least to get into it initially. If the most meaningful reason that you have for that is, well, the date changed on the calendar and it's not 11:59 on the 31st of December, it's 12:01 on the 1st of January the following year, therefore that's what's going to drive me, you're not getting out of bed in the morning when it's cold 6-8 weeks later. That's not a good enough reason to drive you to get out and make that health behavior change. So this idea that I'll do nothing for 2 or 3 weeks over Christmas and I'll eat the junk food, and then all of a sudden I'm going to change 4 or 5 different behaviors at once because the date changed on the calendar, is not a real thing. So why not warm yourself into the January period, the New Year period? By getting out and exercising, you'll feel so much better, and you'll offset a little bit of the damage you would have done with food as well. You'll feel sharper cognitively, you'll sleep better, your immune system will stay stronger to at least help you be more resilient and potentially prevent you from getting sick as well over the Christmas period. So, beyond a couple of hours, there's kind of a point with TV and relaxing where you go from rejuvenating yourself to actually depleting your energy beyond about 3 or 4 hours. Why not get out, get an hour's worth of exercise, get out in the fresh air, out in nature with the family, and get a walk in every day or two over the Christmas period? And the question to ask is not why. The question to ask is why not? Why wouldn't you do it? So with all that said, let's go back and just sum up a couple of the key points. Ask yourself, can you really afford to just hit that self-destruct button and eat crap all around for, an unlimited period of time, 2-3 weeks? Or are you better off picking 2 days to indulge strategically and then committing to the next step, which is that you get back on track? That is a far better option. My patients have used it for years. You pick 1 or 2 days, and it might be 2 different days. It might be Christmas Eve and you're not mad about Christmas Day, and you decide New Year's Eve you're going to have a couple of drinks and a bit of whatever food, whatever. But pick 2 days, commit to 2 days, and get back on track once that day is over. And then get out and get some walks in as well. It'll help you ease into your more active routine that you've planned for January. With all that said, guys, thank you for watching during the year. Have a very happy Merry Christmas with your family. That's what it's all about, spending time with loved ones. And we'll see you in the new year. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.